Hey, it's Webs here, and it's time to rush to victory with a twist of Aggro Druid. Rush Aggro Druid. This deck is centered around Wing Commander Mulverick to give you the option of controlling the board while also focusing down on your opponent's hero, while also using some beast support that Druid actually got in this set, such as Frost Wolf Candles or Heart of the Wild, and the neutral card of Ram Commander as a way to generate even more minions, while also using a card that mainly has seen home in Rush Warrior, which is Parade Leader, to buff up your low-cost rush minions to have a credible amount of attack, thus allowing you to overwhelm your opponent pretty quickly if they don't deal with this or your Oracle of Alloons, which can copy the Parade Leaders and the other rush minions that you're actually playing in the deck. For the Mulligan guide of this deck, it's actually quite simple. You want to keep cards like Druid of the Reef or Vibrant Swirl in your opening hand. These will allow you to have a turn 1 play. Crab Rider and Guess the Weight are really good turn 2 plays, along with Parade Leader if you have some type of cheap rush minion that you can play down on turn 3. Ram Commander is also a great turn 2 play, as this allows you to have a turn 3 setup if you also have Parade Leader in your opening hand. And finally, the last card that you want to keep in your opening hand is Oracle of Alloon. If you have enough cheap minions to actually duplicate off of this, just realize this card isn't really a turn 3 play, it's more of a turn 4 or 5 play. Same thing could be said with Wing Commander. Cards that you never want to keep in your opening hand would be Encumbered Pack Mule, Moonlit Guidance, Overlord Runthak, and Lokholar, the Ice Lord. These cards are just not that useful to keep in your opening hand, as they'll sit in your hand for quite a while. Same thing could be said with Heart of the Wild. With that being said, let's go find some games. Alright, time for a game against Mage. Alright, going to mulligan away the Pack Mule and everything besides the Oracle. Drawing into the second Pack Mule, which sucks. Getting the Ram Commander, which Lightning Bloom, interesting. Okay, so they're Hero Power Mage. Just going to play the Ram Commander and then pass the turn. Okay, they're going to kill a Ram Commander, which is perfectly fine. You know, that's the deck that I kind of want to revisit. I know it didn't get that much support, but I think there's some weird, wacky, like, freeze deck that you could put together with it. It's also probably the most consistent home you could probably put the hero card in. I'm gonna put down the Wing Commander and our Ram. The Ram will get us another minion, and then we'll get a second minion off of that. Blood Mage, interesting. Actually, why would you be playing Blood Mage and Hero Power Mage? That doesn't really make that much sense. I'm trying to think of what you could actually scale for that to actually be useful. Okay, so Wildfire, that's not really that big of a shock. As long as we have the Wing Commander, we should be perfectly fine, though. Gonna play our Oracle, then play our Pack Mule, get 2 Pack Mules here. I don't know what to actually think about this deck. Is it secret hero power? Okay, they're just going to freeze that. That's perfectly fine. I did my math here wrong. Because I think what I wanted to do is use the Lightning Bloom so I could get Heart of the Wild out and then buff everything up that way. But it shouldn't really matter that much. Mass Polymorph, that's sad. Great for us, because we have Heart of the Wild, but terrible for them. Behold, all of our sheeps. And this is why Mass Polymorph is a terrible card. I'm assuming they're probably big spell mage with hero power in it. Yeah. Alright, time for a game against Priest. This is not the worst start in the world. The Parade Leader is definitely something that we want to see in our opening hand. Drawing into an Oracle, pretty good, and Guess the Weight is actually pretty good too. That top deck, though, is not. Okay, so they're Questline Priest. See, that's the deck that I always feared was going to get really, really popular, and now it has. And it is one of the most annoying decks to actually play against. Who knew having some additional draw power on your 5-cost minion actually makes the deck way more consistent than it used to be. Especially when you can only play the one Embrace the Shadows or whatever it's called that searches out a spell out of your deck. That in combination with Spirit Guide makes it where you can actually consistently draw into your questline reward the same turn that you play the 5-drop. Alright, we're going to put down the Oracle, put down a Parade Leader, put down a Druid of the Reef, get 2 of them, one being a 11-1. This is honestly one of the most high rolly turns that we could have possibly had here. Okay, a Void Shard. Who runs Shard of the Naru in their main deck? Is buff Paladin that much of an issue for a lot of people? Oh, actually, Shard of the Naru might be in here for the stupid OTK Owl deck. Or Free Shaman. Actually, I guess there's a lot of good targets for that card now. Hysteria. Okay, Arbor Up is something that we wanted to see like 2 turns ago. Let's see what we get here. Well, we can grab the commander just so we have an additional copy. It is, though, funny that that went from one of the least played quest lines to one of the most played quest lines. Do I think that makes it healthy for the game? No. No, it doesn't. That's a deck that I should probably revisit. Focus Will. Interesting, but that doesn't actually stop us because we have the second one in our hand. And I should have done that in the opposite order just so I could have got base damage in, but oh well. I'm going to play a Kennel. We do have both Arbor Ups in our hand, which makes this actually pretty good for us. As long as our minions survive, that is. Spirit Guide. Okay. Gonna Arbor Up and then play a Heart of the Wild, which gives us a honorable kill, and then we can just go face. Soul Mirror. Actually, I shouldn't be shocked about that. That's one of the only good 7-cost cards that Greece has access to. So we do keep some of our minions here, and it does not trigger the honorable kill on any of them, which is actually pretty funny. And we just get to Arbor Up and then go face. Alright, time for a game against Shaman. Gonna get rid of the composting, drawing into the second Crab Rider. The starting hand isn't the best in the world, but it isn't the worst either. Too bad Crab Rider no longer gives +1 attack on the starting turn. Okay, so Custodian will give them a weapon, and it's probably going to be the Gavel. So I'm going to assume it's going to be Freeze OTK combo deck. Yep, it is Gavel. So it is Freeze, which is probably one of our worst matchups just because we're a minion-based deck. So they are Freeze Shaman, or they're just using Freeze Shaman as a draw engine. Gonna grab Guess the Weight. We can coin out and then guess less, which we call it correct, but we're going to burn our second Guess the Weight copy. Going to grab the Rush and pass the turn. Maybe they're N'Zoth? I mean, you could still play N'Zoth in that style of deck, but it's kind of a weird choice. Getting the Parade Leader, which is actually pretty good. Gonna put down Oracle, put down a Parade Leader, and call it quits for the turn. Okay, that is a little bit concerning. Oh, Frostbite, that makes it less concerning. But Wind Chill is annoying. Sure, go for the Oracle, that's perfectly fine. We should be able to clear their board here. Gonna put down the Crab Rider. And then put down the second Crab Rider. And a taunt. His next turn, we have lethal with Arbor Up. Or close to lethal, I should say, probably. That is not going to stop us. Ooh, it really sucks that they did not kill any of our minions there. And this is going to be exact lethal, actually. Alright, time for a game against Paladin. Ooh, this opening hand is not looking good. I'm going to keep the Kennels just because it's a hard to get rid of minion for 3 turns. Drawing to a Squirrel, though, gives us a turn 1 play. Oh, and they just passed the turn to us. I guess we'll just play the Squirrel. Okay, that's a card I haven't seen in quite a while. We have a few options here. We could play down the Ram Commander, which we are going to do. Or we could have hero powered and then rammed into the Murloc, pun intended. Okay, a Banner Man. So they're hand buff, which makes this kind of an awkward matchup. Okay, we're gonna buff up our Squirrel a little bit here and just go face. We are an aggro deck after all, so in a matchup like this, we're going to want to do as much damage to their face as humanly possible before it gets into late game. They're going to be able to kill our taunt. That is the perfect top deck right there. Because now we can get 2/2s and get rid of their entire board. Turns like this is the entire reason why Lightning Bloom is in the deck. Overlord is not a card I wanted to see, but they do put their minions in perfect range for ours. Just going to keep replacing a 2/2, which is great. Arbor up next turn is probably going to be the play, just because we have nothing else we could do except play Backmeal Annoyatron, which is annoying because of 3 HP, but at the same time, this doesn't do much against us. Composting is interesting to see. The other plan could be use Compost to protect all of our minions, and then get an additional minion right here. Parade Leader, that's actually pretty good. Then just pass the turn. There's so much we can actually do next turn, it isn't even funny. As long as they can't get rid of Wing Commander, we're perfectly fine. That is not something I wanted to see though. Okay, we still have plays, Depends on what we actually want to do here though. If we play down the Ram Commander plus a Parade Leader, then we'll be able to kill the Annoyatron just with that. Though we don't get additional value off of the Oracle if we do. Playing down a Squirrel. And we're just going to have to sacrifice the Wing Commander. I was one off of being able to actually do it. There might have been a better play with Arbor up, but oh well. Oh, that actually doesn't stop us at all. They needed to put down some type of taunt for us to actually be stopped on this next turn. And Acorn as the top deck. Okay. Put down the Pack Mule, buff everything up, and go face. Sure, we're off of lethal this turn, but unless they're playing... Actually, I don't know what the card's called anymore. No one has played it in years. I guess if they have Lord Bravo or whatever the hell his name is, then they could actually come back from this, but that is not going to do the trick though, my friend. A taunt, though, can be annoying. Oh, and they just give up. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the deck. This deck actually performed decently well. I didn't expect much out of Wing Commander at first when I saw it revealed. I thought it was just a really boring card that would fit in a deck like this. But for the most part, most people are going to expect you to run Aggro Taunt Druid instead of Aggro Rush Druid, which will give you some type of surprise factor when you have a big buffed up minion from your duplicated Parade Leaders, thus allowing you to overwhelm your opponent pretty quickly compared to the Taunt variant. Though this does suffer a little bit from having no way to protect your own hero, which is why Lokholar is included in this deck. This is to be your big finisher in the deck, but he didn't really come up that much, so you could even cut him for another composting if you really felt like it. Overlord was also not really necessary that often, but I did like including this just because it could make the Ram Commander's Rams actually bigger, along with all the other cards that you're generating in this deck, since you're relying on a bunch of cheap cost minions. And the nice thing about this deck is a lot of the cards in here are low rarity besides the Wing Commander, and they're cards that are commonly used in other Druid decks, so this deck isn't that hard to actually put together. And it's a nice change up from Taunt Aggro Druid, just because it's another mechanic and no one's going to really expect this deck. And like always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, bye bye.